So today we'll be talking about APIs and also social engineering, not the deepfakes part, but also phishing, vishing, and other cool stuff. So yeah, and I think I can start, right? So hello everybody once again. My name is Teresa. Thank you for being here. I would also like to thank Jess, Christine, Dan, Corey, and all the AppSec University team behind the curtains. Um, in this talk, we'll explore how APIs can fuel social engineering attacks. APIs can kind of supercharge OSINT for social engineering by automating the data collection process. So attackers can use APIs for reconnaissance, and then they just need to create highly targeted scams. But before getting started, I'm going to briefly introduce myself. So currently, I'm part of the threat intelligence team at Siemens Energy. Before joining the blue team, I was a pen tester slash red teamer at KPMG Portugal. This year, I decided to found a local OWASP chapter here in my city, and I'm also a co-leader there. Like Jess said, I'm an AppSec University ambassador, and actually, I started my API security journey in here about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And last year, I created a course for them entitled Getting Started in API Pen Testing. Besides, I'm also a regular speaker at several conferences. One of them is API Days. For those who don't know what API Days is, well, it's the world's leading API conference series. It happens every year in several countries, and the main event is in Paris in the month of December, and it lasts for 3 days in a row. And let's start with the concept of social engineering. So, social engineering can be seen as the art of manipulating someone into giving you access to something. And this something can either be data, an application or system, or even a restricted area or room. So instead of exploiting technical vulnerabilities, you are in fact exploiting the human psychology. And this is why, in its essence, social engineering can be seen as hacking the mind. And at its core, every social engineering attack relies on a single element, which is trust. Social engineering preys on human instincts, such as our desire to help, our trusting nature, our curiosity, our ego, the FOMO, our ego, our pride. So, by triggering emotions over logic, social engineers can create highly effective deceptions. And let's talk a little bit about the history of social engineering. Well, according to the books, it all started a long time ago. And I'm not even sure if this story is truth, but well, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. The Trojan horse, right, in 1184 BC. So in here, the Greeks tricked the Trojans by gifting them a big, massive wooden horse with soldiers hidden inside. And at night, the soldiers opened the gates, they joined the army, and all of these led to Troy's downfall, right? It's an amazing story. After this, we have in 1894 J. Stephen Markin. So he was having some issues in his factories with the employees. They were not happy. So he thought that maybe if he hired some social engineers, they would be able to implement some programs, some policies, and hopefully all of these would lead to the happiness of the employees. And if you are happy, you are productive, right? And last but not least, in the 90s, we have Kevin Mitnick, right? One of the greatest hackers that our world ever saw. So Kevin Mitnick kind of helped popularize the concept in the 90s. And when you're talking about social engineering, it's like a big umbrella, right? It's phishing, which is the more popular, the most common. Then we have vishing, which is phishing over voice. We have smishing, which is phishing over SMS. Tailgating, where you follow someone very closely in order to gain access to a specific room or area. Piggybacking, where you manipulate someone into, I don't know, opening the door for you, for example, using their badge. And the latest acquisition, we have the deepfakes. And I promise I'll talk about APIs today, okay, guys? So I just need to show you a few statistics before that. And these are from the Palo Alto Global Incident Response report from this year. So attackers use multiple fronts, right? So the first one is endpoints, applications. And if you check the second, it's the human front, right? And if we look closely at the numbers, we can see that phishing is more popular when compared to other social engineering attacks. And this is not news to everybody. So, phishing has been more popular for years now. And this is due to three things: it's cheap. Of course, it depends on your infrastructure, right? But it's cheap, it's scalable, and it's highly effective. In some cases, you just need to create one phishing email and you can send it to 1,000 people, right? And now we'll talk a little bit about different kinds of phishing, then we'll talk about APIs. So, phishing is a big umbrella, okay? And in here we have mass phishing, where you create one email and you send it to 1,000 people. You have the back scams. These are very trendy nowadays. A great example is imagine that you work for the finance department at your organization, okay? And of course, you have relationships with third party companies, with vendors, right? So imagine that you receive an email saying, from now on, please transfer the money to this account instead of transferring to the previous one, because we are having some issues with the bank. And a lot of companies blindly trust these emails and just change the account number when they do the payments, right? So this is another one, spear phishing, where you customize the email. It targets a specific person, a group of people, or an organization. And whaling, where you target the board members, the CEO, COO, CFO, etc. And now let's talk about APIs finally, right? So we'll talk about the Duolingo case. I'm sure you all know what Duolingo is. It's a language platform. It's widely used. They have about 500 or 600 million users like registered in the application, and 50 or 60 million active users every month. So it's a big thing, right? On January 2023, we had this hacker. He created a post on a well-known forum known as Bridge Forums, and he said he had 2.6 million customer accounts for sale regarding Duolingo. And he was able to get all of this information from an open API. And in there, you had like usernames, names, private email addresses, phone numbers, roles, account creation details, like a lot of things. So that you have an idea what I'm talking about, this was the kind of data that was there for sale, right? And on Duolingo, you have two kinds. I believe you only have two kind of users. You have the free accounts and you have the plus subscription. So, I mean, in here, there's nothing interesting, right? So you have some interesting information, some juicy information that you can use for social engineering, but nothing too critical, right? You want to know why? Because this user is a free user. But for the plus subscription users, in some cases, you are able to see credit card information. And in here, this is critical information, okay? This was Duolingo's response to this API scraping. So they said it was not a breach, it was not a cyber attack. This feature or this data was part of the Find Friends feature, right? It's not possible to query the API anymore using an email address, and they take cybersecurity and privacy very, very seriously. So I have three questions for you, and you can answer here on the chat. The first one is, do you think this was a data breach? And I'll just go to the second question. Do you think we have a vulnerability in here? And the third one is, do you think this was helpful in the OSINT process? So for those who don't know what OSINT is, it stands for Open Source Intelligence, and the goal is to search for publicly available information on the ClearNet. So I don't see any comments. You can answer. I mean, I'll give my opinion after your comments. Don't be shy. Come on. I'll give my opinion. Okay. So for me, I believe this was partially a data breach because of the credit card information. Second, I believe we have at least two vulnerabilities in here, and we'll see them in a minute. And the third one is I believe this was really helpful in the OSINT process. I mean, for those who do OSINT, who conduct OSINT investigations on a daily basis or as part of your job, you know how hard it is to find information about a specific person or group of people, especially in Europe, right? So in here, it was awesome because you had a lot of information about just one person in one place. And now talking about the vulnerabilities, we need to talk about the OWASP API Security Top 10. Okay, so currently we have two versions available. First one was released in 2019, last one was released in 2023. And in the meantime, some vulnerabilities were added, some were removed, some were updated. And in this case, I believe we have at least two vulnerabilities, like I just said. The first one is excessive data exposure, and the second, lack of resources and rate limiting. Okay, so for the first one, the mitigation would be only show the information that is needed for the user or for the developer, right? And the second one is a possible mitigation implement some rate limiting. I mean, the hacker was able to get those 2.6 million without rotating IP addresses. Okay. And let's look at the present, shall we? And for this, I would like to thank Dan. He let me use his test account for this demo. So I don't know if you remember, but when I showed Duolingo's response, they said it was not possible to query the API anymore using an email address. But I tried anyway, right? And this was the response that I got from the API. So, I mean, nothing too interesting in here. You can see that first the user exists, right? In Duolingo, you can see that it's not a plus subscription. You can see that Dan doesn't have the Facebook account linked to Duolingo account, and it has a Google ID. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not nothing too juicy for a hacker or for an attacker, right? But what if, by any chance, you knew Dan's username, right? And the attacker in this case, he had a long list of usernames and he just brute forced the API to get the valid accounts. So if we knew Dan's username in the present, this is the response from the API. And sounds familiar, right? It was the first image that I showed you when I started the talk. So you can see like a lot of information. You can't see credit card information because then it's a free user, right? And after this, and giving all of this information that we just saw, how easy it is to craft a phishing email. And all of these from an ethical hacker's perspective, of course. Okay. So during my career, I created a few phishing and vishing scenarios, and I can give you a few tips. Okay. The first one is customize the email. And when I say customize, it's not changing the first line to hello, Teresa. No, you need to customize the full email only to that person. Okay. Second one, create urgency or intimidation. And personally, I prefer the first one. Number three, avoid grammatical errors. I don't know if you also received those text messages from DHL, but there's always a typo in there. Like, I don't understand. There's always a typo. Please avoid grammatical errors, okay? Mask the phishing URL. And for example, in Outlook, you have that feature where you can say that this is the text that is being shown to the user, but behind the curtains, you have another completely different thing. Mimic a real email if you have one. And last but not least, if you have an email signature, use it. If you don't have like a real one, you can literally say best regards, your name and the logo. And that works. And do you want to know the top three? when it comes to phishing emails, according to my career, of course, I mean, people really like benefits, like discounts, right? I don't know about you or how it works in your country right now, but here in Portugal, we have the Dubai chocolate trend, and I'm pretty sure if, like, I don't know, a lot, if people receive like an email saying, if you click in here and you give away your data, you'll receive a free Dubai chocolate. I think people just fall for it because it's a free thing, right? Number two, price draws. I mean, same logic. And number three, change passwords, especially if you provide details such as origin IP, origin country, and if you use some urgency or intimidation. And you don't need to be like an amazing hacker or a hacker at all to create a great phishing email, okay? And remember, I'm showing you this from an ethical hacker's perspective only, okay? So to create a phishing email, you can use ChatGPT, right? And ChatGPT has some guardrails, but you don't need to tell ChatGPT that it's a phishing email, right? You can literally say, please create me an email giving this data so that next time Dan logs into his Duolingo account, he'll get, I don't know, a discount or something like that. And ChatGPT creates the scenario for you, the email for you. I mean, in this case, it's not the exact example that I just gave, but you get my point. But if you want to be like a real hacker and use dark team mode, you can use Pentest GPT. And in here, you don't have any guardrails. You can literally say, please create me a phishing email. And it creates the email for you. And it's pretty good. I mean, you don't need to change like a thing. I mean, you need to change the URL, but that's basically it, right? It also like includes emojis for you. It's just awesome, right? And we are reaching the end of my talk, so I would like to share this sentence with you. I found it last year while I was doing some research for an article that I wrote for Cybersecurity News. And what it says is, even if your main systems are completely secured, what it takes is a poorly designed, forgotten, unsecured API in order to open a window for attackers to exploit your systems. And as we saw before with the Duolingo case, sometimes what you need is a find friends feature, right? So, and as a conclusion, I believe that the key in here is number one, stay vigilant, and number two, ensure that every API in your organization is protected and also accounted for. And before going to the Q&A, I just have two more things. It's more of an advertisement moment, but on the left side, you have the course that I created for AppSec University. It's 1 hour long, and you have it's basically divided into three main sections: before testing, during testing, and after testing. And in there, you can find tools, techniques, basically a lot of my experience. You can also know how to prepare for the assessment, how to write a comprehensive report, among many, many other things. So if you are interested, please take a look. It's free. And on the right side, you have the article that I wrote for Cybersecurity News. And in here, I talk about HTTP status codes, APIs, OSINT, and also social engineering. In here, you have a lot of ads, but if you prefer the free ads version, you can check my Medium profile. And that's it from my side. Thank you so much for being here once again.
That was awesome, Teresa. Thank you so much. I'm such a social engineering nerd. That's secretly like my favorite thing. So I was really stoked that I got to be here for your talk. We have a few minutes for Q&A chat. If anyone has specific questions about the presentation or just about AppSec for Teresa in general, I mean, she knows kind of all of that stuff. So we'll leave that open for a few minutes. Can I ask, while we wait for chat to fill in,
Yeah.
what does it look like, those like social engineering engagements professionally? You know, like, is it similar to like setting up an annual pen test for somebody, or like how do you find a client that wants you to do that?
Yeah, I mean, according to my experience, of course, this depends on the project itself.
Mhm.
but we had like it was like a bundle of things, right? So you had the pen test, and then if the client wants, they also have the phishing part, the social engineering part, and you can kind of decide if you want phishing or both. For some clients, they also asked for the physical intrusion part using social engineering, which is more exciting, being face to face, to the people that you're trying to manipulate, let's say it like that. But it really depends on the client and on their end goal, I would say.
That's awesome. And do those like those things meld together? For example, are you using information you're potentially gathering from your social engineering and applying credentials you may gather there into your pen test? Does that all
Yeah,
work together? That is so cool. I would
yeah,
love to
that's
sit in on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And you also have the OSINT part, where you investigate like everything about the company and who works there. So you know basically how it works like internally, not the secrets, but how people like the hierarchy and who's the manager of that specific department, who and if they have like several buildings, who works in that building or who works in another one.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's also
Yeah.
pretty useful for the social engineering part.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I see. Yes, this will be recorded. All the talks will be recorded, um, and they should be posted on our YouTube within a week or so. Is typically our timeline after a con. Tom says corporate phishing emails that talk about medical benefits get a high click rate, and that makes me wonder: do you have like go tos based on the industry that you're working in for the testing that you're doing? Like, are there topics that you use based on the industry you're phishing in?
I mean, right now I work for the blue team, right? So I don't hack.
Right, right.
But in the past, I worked a lot with Portuguese banks. And I mean, it really depends. For example, a lot of those companies, they have the summer party, right? So we
Mhm.
try to use the summer party scenario. We try to use the change password scenario. If they have, I don't know, a partnership with a big company, for example, I don't know, Vodafone, we would try to use Vodafone in an email, for example. But you
Right,
have a lot of clients that when you try to use like external vendors, for example, Vodafone or any other big company, they say, no, it's a big no because it's their image in the end, right? Even if it's a
right.
phishing email or a phishing campaign, it's
That's
their
so
image.
interesting.
But
What a fun red tape to try to tiptoe through while you do that, I bet.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, and for your
Thank
presentation.
you.
If you guys have any further questions, would you mind? I saw somebody asked for your Medium. Maybe post like your Medium, your LinkedIn, and chat and stuff. If people want to,
Of
follow you
course,
and connect,
of
I
course.
think that would be awesome. All
Thank,
right. Well, have a great rest of your day, Teresa, and thanks again. It's always a pleasure to have you
thank you.
involved with AppSec.
Thank you, Jesse, and bye, guys. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.
All right. So my phone is ringing. I'm sorry. Our next speaker today is going to be, let's see, Anubhav Sharma. I hope I pronounced that right. Please correct me if I did not. Um, we'll bring you up on stage here. He is a senior security engineer at Cash Free Payments, has experience in application security, cloud security, API security, architecture review, DevSecOps, and so much more. If you already follow him on LinkedIn, you'll see that he's constantly helping and mentoring people. So I'm really excited to see his presentation today. I don't want to spoil his topic. Anubhav, are you there? Uh, can you unmute and whatnot? At the just underneath the screen here on above, you can hit M to unmute or just press V. I think will turn your camera on and off, or there should be little buttons in the black box at the bottom there.
Uh,
There you are. Hello.
I'm audible?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Where is the video option?
No worries.
Let me share my screen first. Let's see.
Yeah, when if you click present anything and then hit share screen, yeah, perfect. And then I can bring it up here. Great.
Uh, my video. I'm weird. Okay, yeah, I
So
found.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Hey, there you are. Welcome.
Right.
Super
I'm
excited to
trying.
have you here. If you want to, here, I'll take your screen off screen for a second here so you can get your presentation set up. Do you want to just tell a little bit more about yourself? This is my first time meeting you, so I'm
Oh,
excited to hear about you.
yeah. Hi, Jesse. I'm pronouncing right? It's Jesse.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Hi.